easy. The photos is very easy to take, and the project is very easy compared to other projects I do. Like I used the treadmill, and it's a fun way to actually get motion in the diecast, but turned out in a very cool way.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. We will dive in here. Let's see. Gotta pull up my list of patrons because there's some new ones. All right. Let's talk about car photography. It's gonna be a lot of fun. All right. Whoa, that was scary. All right. In 3, 2.
You're watching DieCast Breakdown with Chuck Ellis, David Johns, and Mark McHotwheel. So sit back, strap in, and hang on. The breakdown starts now.
Well, hey there, folks. Chuck here, and welcome to DieCast Breakdown. I'm so glad you're here, and I am especially glad that we are doing this show with the collaboration of our executive producer level patrons. That would be First and 64th Customs, Day and Self, DrivenDreams.org, Elevation Diecast Racing, Jason, Jay Goldenberg, Lewis, Big Lou, Tanahara, Mad Visions, Reviews Through Another Lens, Twice Diecast, thank you, David, and Video Geek Productions. That is a lot of people giving us $20 a month just to do this silly show. Aren't those awesome people? Go thank them in the comments. Say thank you, Jay Goldenberg. And we also want to give a shout out to some other new patrons that have come on board at the production assistant level. That would be Larry's Model Shop, The Scuffed Nerd, and Paul David Schwock.
Paul Schwock, the diecast guy.
Paul Schwock, the diecast guy. Thank you, David. I knew he knew who Paul was about. All right. Well, those are some awesome people, and you're seeing other people on the screen that support the show. If you want to know how you can join their ranks, you can visit diecastbreakdown.com, where you can find links to all our relevant stuff, including Patreon and our merch store. You can deck yourself out in the latest Diecast Breakdown and Diecast Media Network merch. And you can visit drivendreams.org, where we're raising 25,000 cars for kids in need all over the world. So check that out. It's a really cool project that Mark is doing. Mark will be on location doing some really cool stuff that we can't show you tonight. But I am joined by my co-host, colleague, and friend, Mr. David Johns. David, how the heck are you today?
I'm good. I'm ready. We're going to get caught up with one of our favorite guests of all time. And we're doing it through the marvel of technology. We've got you and us here in the States, and Martin all across the rest of the world.
Yep. Through a series of tubes, we are talking to someone on the other side of the planet right now. Martin Palm, you know him from his amazing Instagram shoots, his photography, making little tiny cars look really big and really epic. He's been on the show before, but we're thrilled to have him back. Martin, thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Yeah, thank you for coming back. It's fun. It's about a year ago we was here, so it's fun to talk about the last year.
Yeah,
sure.
Plenty to catch up on.
Yeah, I heard you have had quite the busy year. So for those of us who have seen the interview before and are eager to know what's next, what's been happening in your world of photography?
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. Last time we talked about the collaboration with Peugeot, which took my breath away since it was my first brand deal back then. Then after the show last time, I released my project with cars. My own project, not a paid collaboration, but that was something else when I released that, and I started actually to see how wild those projects can be when it comes to numbers.
Right.
I think it's a big topic to talk about when it comes to my projects. I also in last September got my work with Porsche and Lego, two big brands that knows very well. So that's been a
busy.
Yeah.
So let's start with the cars thing, because you've got this really cool series of photos that has 113,000 likes on your Instagram as of right now, and this is from almost a year ago. And it's a series of photos. We got like Lightning McQueen racing through Radiator Springs at night in the beginning of Cars 1, and you see the sheriff catches up to him, and he's got his firing out of his exhaust pipe, and the lights are flashing, and there's a really cool behind the scenes video of you with some strobe lights going. So walk us through that photo shoot. Tell us what's going on there.
I was, to start it all, I have been shooting normal cars or diecasts for about 3 years. And I was, how could I twist this? Still be the cars, vehicles, but add a new dimension to it. And we all have grown up with the cars movies, and that famous Willis Butt, I think it's called. I need to do this, but I wasn't sure, since it's very many shapes that I never have been doing before. So it's like I saw it in my head, but it was so not there yet.
Right.
And I was like, is it childish, or is it something that is engaging, or I was out of my comfort zone when I had the idea, since there is many thoughts that's coming in to actually see, should I do this? Is it good for my brand, or is it good for my page? But I did it. And I think I had, it's my first viral carousel post that reached actually 1 million views.
Wow.
A carousel that's never done before. And that was overwhelming to see the growth from that, actually one post with 3 photos.
So Martin, when you're making these, are these actual scenes from the movie, or is this just you in the moment? You think, this is how I want to place these cars? What's your process there?
No, this is full recreations of the movie scenes. Mm-hmm. I think that's the point of the whole engagement, that people can actually relate to in a very, very close way, since all the comments has been that I recreated their childhood. So I think it's turned out really well. The video reached about 1 million likes, and the total project overall, now when I posted on cross-platform, it has reached over 50 million views.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, the process of it all it was just, how could I twist my type of photography into a new world or a new place? Like I did, as I said, a lot of commercial lookalikes, but that is hard to relate to or engage with, rather than this or topics like this.
Did you digitally modify the faces on the cars too, or are those cars, do they already come looking like that?
No, I made them.
Okay, well, that's very clever.
So
I gave them new facials though, but I think it's really funny.
Be back with more DieCast Breakdown after this word from our sponsors. Legendary Hollywood concept artist and designer Fireball Tim Lawrence has created 3 exclusive pieces of automotive art based on the 3 hosts of DieCast Breakdown. Get these and other brilliant designs printed on mugs and more at fireballtimgarage.art today.
Cast Heads magazine is a digital publication dedicated to enhancing the lives of collectors all across the world by providing information on new models, reviews on brands and diecast accessories like figures and dioramas, throwing light on customizers, photographers and people who contribute to making the diecast world vibrant. Subscribe to Cast Heads for free and look for collaborations with Diecast Media Network at castheadsmagazine.com.
And now back to DieCast Breakdown.
No, it's very well done. So give an idea to the viewers that are watching this that they've probably already seen the pictures and they just had no idea that it was all recreated physically in a studio. How long does it take to make radiator springs?
I don't think it took too much. About a week.
Mm-hmm.
To do the scene, actually. It was pretty fast. That shoot was actually, the editing was the most since I have to deal with the faces and even the lightning on the cars. Since McQueen is very, very shiny, it has a lot of reflections, and all the graphics on his body should be good looking in all ways. So the diecast is not that good. So it's a lot of retouching for the.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, it's a lot of post work.
Now, describe the lens that you have on the camera, because it looks like you've got this lens that is like this long and it's like that big around. So is that some special kind of macro lens? What's going on with that?
Yeah, it's a macro lens, but the thing with that lens is it has a wide perspective in macro mode. A normal macro lens is about 100 millimeters, and the perspective is very, very straight. And this opens up a new possibility to actually come closer to the subject with a wide angle. So it helps to create the car from small to big. I don't know how it builds inside, but it's do the job.
Yeah, no, it does the job fantastically. It's a very interesting lens. I've never seen a lens like that. I mean, I'm sure it's a very specialty type thing that would be used for people who are like photographing bugs or
I think it's made for that.
Yeah.
Since it has a front light in the lens built in.
It's got a light in the lens. Interesting.
Yeah. So I think when you're shooting insects and stuff like that, it helps too.
So have you gotten any feedback? Anybody from Pixar or Disney or anybody?
Yeah.
That's how cool is that?
Yeah, that's really cool. Pixar commented on one post.
Awesome.
So I hope a Cars 4 is coming.
I think we all do.
I think as long as they're going to be able to keep selling the Cars toys, they'll keep making the movies, because they keep coming up with all these new characters and new castings, and I don't know how they come up with so many of them.
No,
but that is so cool. What a treat to have the actual company comment on your work and get recognition for that. But yeah, and they're fantastic. I love the series with the sheriff chasing McQueen. It just that nighttime scene looks so good, and you did a great job on Radiator Springs. Now, I know you said in your last interview, a lot of times when you're done with these sets and stuff, you just throw them away. Did you keep Radiator Springs, or is that gone?
I have the pillar in the middle.
Yeah.
I saved that one, but the road and the desert, I actually threw it away.
Yeah, there's only so much room.
It's a bummer, but
yeah.
Well, guys, Pixar is not the only one that's noticed your work. Martin, you had an amazing opportunity to have another collaboration. Can you share a little bit about maybe the work that you did for the 50th anniversary of a major automaker?
Yeah. That was a funny story, actually. When it started, I was home and I should go to my office, and I said to my wife, I really hope a new deal coming soon as a miniature, since I hadn't one. I had Peugeot lost before that. When I went to the office, I saw I had an email while I'm driving. I saw it on the car, and when I I arrived to the office and opened the email. It was from Porsche.
Porsche.
This is not happening. And so I texted her directly and said, "Oh my, this just happened." So like I have recreated ads for Porsche and Mercedes and all of that. So the big dream was actually the vision from the very beginning was actually to shoot for brands like this. Like Porsche. And I did, it was a high goal that I never thought I should reach, actually. To combine both Lego and Porsche was super cool. And we had a first meeting where we talked about how we could get this to celebrate the fifth. The Stuttgart heart of Porsche was very, very hot topic when we had this meeting, and it was much talking about architecture, since Stuttgart has a lot of architecture, but we finally came on board with the idea to recreate the dark forest. And I never done a forest or trees by myself. So I was pretty nervous. How should I even get this happening in a scale of 1 to 12 that the Lego car is? And how should I make about 60 trees that looks good? That was my biggest challenge of the whole process, that I could create good pictures. I knew that, but to actually work through the whole process with creating this idea, I said yes. Of course I can do it.
So let's just kind of clarify what the project was. This was the 50th anniversary of the Porsche 911, which came out in 1974. If you go to the Porsche.com website, and Martin has a link on his website, Martin's photography with Lego models of the Porsche 911 is in there, and it's got that diorama that you just talked about, the dark forest, and it's crazy, Martin, that you made it and looked so real.
Yeah, I was so, yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but I was so happy that it actually was hard to work with it, since I wanted to make it so good in a good way. To actually have the time is always hunting me when it comes to these ideas, and I can't work too much with it, but I really wanted to make it good. So I think I spent a week just thinking about how I could make the trees. So I went up with buying so many different materials to see if I could make it, and it ended up with a laser cutted star that I put it on a wood rod. This is called that, like a template. And then I went to IKEA and bought the cheapest pillows and just put them on the stars to make the trees look pretty. And yeah, it was a journey to actually see. That was actually the hardest part of what I have done so far. So, but
do you mind me asking one more question? Did you know that at the beginning of the project, did they tell you, hey, we're coming to you because of, we've seen your work with DieCast, but we would like for you to use Lego in this? Was that part of the process from the very beginning?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was. I don't know why, actually, but they had, I don't know if the car is actually a limited edition or what, but I have seen creators work with the same type of visual of the car. It's yeah. I don't know why I should work with a Lego car, actually, but
yeah, no, that's what the client wanted.
Yeah. So, but I'm happy that it turned out in that way, and could never imagine to actually working with playing my studio with Lego. In Lego, I built 2 cars in one day. It's 3,000 pieces. So
yeah, Martin,
are you satisfied with that answer? Should we clarify in another way?
No, I was just waiting for Chuck to chime in. I know he's got stuff I can see it rattling around.
I had a question about, there's another photo that you have with it looks like some kind of coffee in the middle of the mountains, and there is a car that looks like it's the size of my fingernail.
Mm-hmm.
What's the story there? What's going on with this teeny tiny little car?
I was out of ideas. So I always have, landscape is pretty easy to make when it comes to dioramas, and especially in this scale. The topic of that work was how I could fake a landscape in a scale of 1 to 500.
Wow.
And I just actually put together some styrofoam and some grass, and I just mixed and freestyle. I think I did it in one day,
wow.
The landscape. But the cars, when I play it, if you look at it very, very closely or in detail, it's very, very bad. But when you place it in the diorama and photograph it like a drone, it just blends in and look very, very cool.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the car is incredibly tiny. Like, it looks like it could rest on my fingernail.
Yeah.
It's probably, when you get up close to it, little more than just like a little contour of something resembling a car and a little bit of paint here and there. But but like you said, from an aerial distance, and just I love the roadway, and that you made a whole little scene for it, and in the finished product, you added light effects.
Yeah, that is always the thing with my pictures. When you add those little lights on the cars, for example, you actually you transform the toy car, or in this case, this fingernail car, to a real looking detail. So just this little red light from the brake lights is doing its job.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
No, that was great. And as I'm just moving through, because and folks, you really have to go check out his Instagram if you haven't already, and I don't know why you wouldn't have, but it just each one of these, and I love that you incorporate your behind the scenes in these carousels as well, so you can kind of see the effects. And you've got one that's kind of like a Need for Speed universe type shoot, where you've done like a simulated arrow, kind of like in the video game where it shows where to go, and you've got your hand, and the car is like going to drive through your hand. So what was the story with that photography there?
Need for Speed is like cars for us in the 90s or 80s. So it's a big topic too. And I was so into Need for Speed when I was younger, and I just thought about that Bayview starting position when you drive away from the. That is also, when it comes to builds and all these ideas, I actually made a YouTube video exactly how I created this scene, a full from start to finish. And when I talk to this video, it's like the nostalgia is on the level like cars for even for me. So to create this airport was a bit struggling, since I had less of references. What you can see in the game is just a straight you're driving through it, so you have not so much perspective of this building. So I had to actually search around for a clear view, and I just made it from what I saw. Like I draw it in Illustrator, every little piece of that building. I was drawing it in Illustrator and laser cut the whole building and make it a puzzle.
Yeah.
So it was struggling to actually get it so perfect that I could remake it, but everything is going back to engagement and what people want to see. And we have a trend now that we are going back in time and see what we are missing or what we had when we were younger. So that's truly going back to a good time.
Sure. I loved those games as well. And yeah, you got just so many cool things. I love these winter scenes. Tell me about the winter scenes that you created, like this one that you did with the delivery van, and how do you create that snow effect? It looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's a client of my, Marco at Francesini. I have made it's actually made for one Christmas card. Those images is a Christmas card for that company, which is very creative in that type of niche. But he loves what I do with the cars. And he said, yeah, it creates something very, very season based on Christmas. And everything with architecture and combining details like the mistles, is it called that? Mistles around the tree. It makes so much sense when it comes to how we can actually transform a little diecast. This is a scale of 1 to 87, so it's very, very tiny. So each little brick is it's so important to make it, but it's so small that you probably can't see it. I love working with plaster. I think no one else, since it's so much like I can't find that type of material in the diorama stores online. It's I don't know what it's called. The other one, it's like paper and water and something else.
Paper mache.
almost, but it's mixed in a very, very tiny filler. It's not plaster, but I go to the color store and buy regular wall plaster and make the snow of plaster. And I have a technique that I love. It's using a sponge with water on plaster, and it just makes it so beautiful.
Yeah.
And all the snow on the scene with the trucks is actually made from plaster.
Don't touch that dial. DieCast Breakdown will be right back after these messages. DieCast Breakdown is produced in partnership with Twice DieCast and Driven Dreams Org on YouTube. Check out their channels in the video description and subscribe for more epic DieCast content.
Hey, this is Larry Wood.
This is Derek from Honest DieCast.
Hey, this is Chad Reed from Round 2.
This is Mike from Gas Labs.
The SRT Jovita Show.
This is Champion DJ K.
This is Mad Vision here.
This is DieCast Dude.
And you're watching DieCast Breakdown.
And now, the thrilling conclusion of this week's episode of DieCast Breakdown.
It's amazing how much companies want to really take professional photos of their products because of all the social media now. Number one, first question for you, Martin. Are you open to DieCast brands contacting you to do shots of their new products? Would that be something that they could reach out to you and do?
Yeah, I think that should be a new type of photography for me. Or if they want to make my type of style, absolutely. I don't know. I'm not so much into the DieCast brands, how they actually marketing the cars. Since it's a toy, but not a toy. So I think it's a new type of photography if they don't want my type of photography.
Sure. Well, let's talk about your type of photography because it caught someone's attention. There are some really amazing photos of one of our favorite brands, Mini GT, and some James Bond 1/64 scale cars from the movies. So talk about whatever you can tell us on how you got those cars to get such amazing photos that we can see on your Insta.
I will start with, I'm not a Bond fan to start with, but I thought, well, if we go back to the theme of engagement, since I work with this idea or this mindset all the time, you see if is it relatable or could people recognize it in that way? And I got Mini T's attention in some way. I don't know really how, but I think we chat on Instagram for a bit, and suddenly I sent my address and everything, but I didn't expect that they should send me cars just like that. So I got a FedEx email that sent, it's a 2 kilo package from a China-based company, and they reached out. We have sent this list to you. Okay, but you don't have to mention us in any way. Just do something cool. So that is a good way to approach the DieCast's company, actually. Even if I don't get paid, which I have bills to actually pay and everything like that, but it creates content for me, and I'm super happy to have them on the shelf. It's super cool. So I just thought about, before Christmas, I was lack of content, and I had this new batch coming right before Christmas, and I went home. I had a treadmill I haven't used for a year. It just was dust on everything.
Right. Yep. Just like mine.
Yeah, mine too. But I took it from the shelf, and I need to see if I could create something more easy than I normally do. And my general projects take about 2-3 weeks to create, always. So I took it, and I had a piece from my Porsche scene that I haven't thrown away yet. So I cut it off, and I placed it in front of the car like a foreground. And I think I will make this moving in a very, very easy way, and photograph the background and replace it and make it look real. So yeah, I took a fish line, tape it on the treadmill, and push it under the car, and it started to moving. Yes, this is gonna work.
Yeah.
And I had a foreground from the Porsche scene, and I just moved it when I had the slow shutter speed. And directly in camera, if I just had a real background, it should look real directly. Sorry, I need to post it. And I remade it with another Porsche car that I took a little piece of a Christmas tree and made it like a miniature Christmas tree and glue it on the roof. I saw actually a Porsche post exactly the same car with a tree on top of the roof in a winter landscape. So I think that this is really good. So I made it, and it's got a lot of likes and engagement on that one. And I think the Porsche car reached about 14 million views. A 6-second.
Yeah.
So it was a good one.
We call that lightning in a bottle. You caught lightning in a bottle, Martin.
Yeah. So I sent the numbers to them, and oh my God. So I'm happy to help them in a way, even if I don't tag them, since I know it's settled down the post in some ways.
Yep.
But it's a mini GT.
Yeah. Super cool.
All right. Well, yeah, again, just amazing seeing all of this stuff come together, and these brands taking notice of you. Do you have any advice for anybody who would want to do something like this and is trying to get their foot in the door as far as starting to do more miniature photography? I mean, we talked about this a little the last time, but for the people who missed that last interview, what are there some good ways to get started if you maybe don't have the budget for the fancy lens for bugs or things like that? Like, because I know you had to start somewhere. What would you recommend?
I think you actually can start with the iPhone, since iPhone has as a camera with wide angle and macro at the same time. So you can actually use an iPhone to photograph diecasts. I have actually recorded miniature landscapes. That was the landscape I wanted to have in the background. I filmed everything on the iPhone. So it's a very, very powerful tool if you want to get started with any kind of photography, actually. And when it comes to diecasts, since I work really, really hard on the post-production, that makes the edge, I think. So if you want to start, it's how you can light the car and actually get through the normal look of a diecast. Since it's very common that people are not going into the lightning when they shoot the cars, especially diecasts.
It's good.
If you scroll around on diecasts that are shooting diecasts, it's hard to actually find those ones that are spending a little time to actually light them. So that's a really powerful tool if you want to enhance the look of the diecasts.
Yeah. Take some extra time and make sure the lighting is good.
Yeah.
So Martin, along with the automotive brands and some of these other projects, the diecast brands you work on, you've worked directly with this little company called Adobe, and you've got some new overlays that you've got available. So tell me, for those who don't know, tell the audience what an overlay is and why people could buy these and use them on their own photography.
Overlays is, thanks for mentioning it for the first. It's the overlays comes very handy to those photographers that are looking for a realistic effect in post-production. I actually created these overlays since I used a lot of them myself before I created them. So I started to actually see what I worked with the most and recreated a batch of each overlay that I needed. It can be like I did a lot of commercial photography when I used the sun as a main source, and when I photographed a subject with a light leak, for example, it never came out in a very good way like the overlay could produce. So in post, I took a fake light or a light leak that I made in the studio with black background and applied to my photo that created some sparkle or just a more interesting lens flare or whatever it can be to make it more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And Adobe's attention came to one of my overlay packs that was Misty Window, I think they call it.
Misty Windows, yep.
I had a window. I made it for a particular shoot of a cafe when someone was actually behind a window to create more interesting view of it. And it's hard to actually get so much control of the window and what's in front of the face like. So I had a workflow that had this raindrops and fog on the window that I could actually control 100% of the blurriness and everything like that. They was very interesting in that package. So I think that is the main one.
Yeah. So
but overlays to just tell what this actually is. It's a very controlled retouching tool to create a little more effect on your photos, so it gets more interesting.
Very good. All right.
I hope that is a good.
No, that's helpful. So yeah. So basically, it's and you've got several. You got like fire, and you've got like some really cool tape for some more like punk inspired type things. Like if you wanted to have a masking tape frame and smoke and fireworks and all kinds of cool stuff. So a lot of this stuff, folks, is handled in post production. A lot of effects and stuff. So you can add these things, have them adjust the transparency and really add a lot of depth and texture to the image. And so I dabble in Photoshop a little bit myself. So I'll have to keep these in mind if I ever decide to, put down my work tools and pick up a camera and start doing some serious photography of my stuff, which I should do because I'm sure my stuff would look really good with some decent, photography. And again, I love that at the top of this image is this really cool Volvo photo that you did with cardboard packaging, like the spacing and packaging, and you made it look like rocks and stuff. And it's got, again, the power of your imagination, the power of lighting, that you took this thing and it looks like a layer from a James Bond villain's place. And it was just like the kind of pressed cardboard packaging that you'd find in like a piece of electronics or something. It's so cool.
Yeah, exactly. I bought a use machine and I thought this is really, really cool. Everyone knows that creativity is a muscle. And when it comes to working with this type of photography, you need to actually be very creative. And that is not coming directly. It's coming by time and doing, and start thinking of type of ways to achieve different things. So
I've just had my reality shattered, Chuck and Martin. You photographers, like, you guys aren't out there waiting for it to start raining to get photos with raindrops on windows. Like, this just kind of blew my mind. But I love the idea. You don't have to deal with the glare. You don't have to deal with the reflection of me and my holding my phone in the window. Like, it's an amazing, that Misty Windows is just really cool to get the effect without having to deal with all of that other extra stuff that you have to worry about.
Yeah. I applied it on a commercial shoot for a watch brand too, I think. And I had a model just sitting in the studio with the background, and I applied the overlay on top of that, and it created a total new image. So it's very controlling and a very easy way to just transform a regular studio shoot, for example.
Martin, you weren't kidding when you said that it's been a busy year, but I can't imagine that you're done. So tell us what you have coming up in the future. You were mentioning something you were excited about, and I'd love to share that with the other viewers and listeners.
Yeah, I have been actually since New Year. I was pitching a brand in the US, which called Verb Moto. I don't know if you recognize them in some way. They are one of the biggest brands in motocross that are documenting and are serving the community with information and content for the motocross industry. And they reached out to me and said, we need to work, but I don't know what to do. So I had an idea for a long time that no one had executed on. And I pitched them about an idea to actually go through different realities. They are into real motocross action. I'm doing miniature, and I want to go digital to serve the community in a experience of gaming, which is very, very big in the motocross fans. So I pitched them to actually do a miniature motocross track that I never had done before. So they saw my other viral supercross tracks that I made in 2023, and we had some meetings, and we came up with the idea to marketing their motocross event that are now in April 2025, and we should do a full replica of the track they are racing on, and we are converting that miniature track into a digital experience to make it raceable online.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really super cool, and that's super exciting to be part of. And I started actually directly off the new year to build my biggest diorama yet. I think I'm never going to create a bigger one. It's a 3.5 meter. I don't know how long that is in feet. It's 3.5 times 8.8 meters. So it's so big.
25 square meters. That is wild. Yeah, we'll have to put a little disclaimer right here that shows that in feet for the Americans, but it's really big.
Yeah, and I have calculated the scale to 1 to 150.
Oh my gosh!
So the cars is about this big. So I had never done this before, but I'm super excited, and I've actually made it. It's downstairs, and
oh, that's fantastic. So does that take up the entire room downstairs?
It does. So I don't have a plan yet how to actually save it, but we maybe will send it to the facility and have it as an art piece standing there.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
That seems like one you need to keep in the archives.
Yeah, really. So that is a very interesting project that I never thought could be a thing when I started, but it's really, really cool to involve real experience, digital and miniature to marketing a real event.
Tell us the name of the company one more time.
Verb Moto.
Okay. Yeah, I see it. A dirt bike website, VURBMOTO.
Yeah.
Folks need to check it out. That looks really, it looks like a really cool site. And we do have a lot of motocross fans that cross over. A lot of diecast collectors also collect bikes as well.
So I think we will post a teaser now in the first April 1st. So I really want you to have a view on my page or Verb's page to actually see it, since we have worked so hard with this.
Absolutely.
It's really, really fun. And we will actually, I have started a YouTube channel. So we are actually going to make 3 episodes of full build of this project. That's also very interesting to see.
Now that sounds like that is going to be very popular. If
I hope so.
I think you guys are going to come right out of the gate pretty strong with that. So tell everybody real quick what the name of your YouTube, how they can find it.
I think I named Martin Palm on YouTube. If you just search on Martin Palm, you will probably find me. So yeah, I post everything I do in short, but I also started to make longer videos. I think I have three long formats, and I will keep them posting, but it takes so much time.
It does. It sure does. No doubt about that.
No, so I will, but it's very fun to see that my work is engaging in that type of way. And it's fun for myself to actually see the full process of what I'm doing afterwards, since I'm so in it when I build it, and to get some overview.
Feedback, yeah.
No, it's great. And yeah, you're Martin Palm 1 on YouTube. But if you Google Martin Palm or you YouTube Martin Palm, you're the first thing that comes up. So folks, go check that out because he's got some really cool behind the scenes stuff going on there. I know as a diorama builder myself, I'm going to be checking those out and getting some of Martin's secrets in there, but I don't think he has to worry about me gunning for his job anytime soon. But it's really cool that you're putting that stuff out there and sharing it with people, because I think that encourages creativity, that fosters more innovation, and you can use the inspiration that people use from that to create their own thing, and then they can inspire you in the cycle as everyone continues to learn and try new things. So I think it's a great thing that you're doing, and it's really exciting. So again, folks, check that out, and of course, check out Martin Palm on Instagram, where you can find all sorts of really awesome things. I'd highly recommend checking out the cars photos as well as the mini GT stuff. It's cool to see you doing more stuff in 1/64 scale. So, that's exciting. And again, I don't think I've ever really seen a 1/500th scale car before. So that is absolutely worth checking out as well.
Are you guys most into 1/64?
Yes, mostly we talk about 1/64 scale on this show, but we've talked to people that do 1/43 scale and some of the people that do bigger stuff. But 1/64 scale is where we most frequently find our discussions. But
if you, as a pro, I'm not a collector in any way, but when it comes to 1/64, I've seen it's very popular. When it comes to, what are you looking for when it comes to these particular cars that you are collecting?
What we're looking for as the car itself, or as like a photography subject, just like
no collecting.
Okay.
For collecting.
Yeah, I think a lot of us get our start with Hot Wheels cars and the Matchbox, the little cars you find for $1 or I don't know, €1 or $2, whatever they would be over where you're at. The toy cars that are about that scale, the Hot Wheels and Matchbox. But David has led a lot of us down the path of premium diecast, and so brands like Mini GT is a good upper level, higher quality, very accurate, true 1/64 scale. So a lot of cars, a lot of people think, oh, well, 1/64 scale is 1/64 scale. It really isn't. There's, a lot of car companies make their cars bigger or smaller than 1/64, so they fit the packaging. So true 1/64 scale is actually pretty rare in this field, but there are companies like Mini GT and Auto World that do true 1/64 scale. But when it comes to like the premium stuff, Tamika Limited Vintage is kind of like one of the standards of brands when it comes to premium die casts. But Mini GT has really come a long way. Tarmac Works is really good. Pop Race is a new one that's been making some really big waves with really high quality stuff. David, you know all the real out there ones, the real high end ones.
I'll tell you, Martin, what I look for are certain features. I want rubber tires. I want realistic wheels. I don't want a cookie cutter wheel on the same car. I want plastic inserted lenses for the headlamps and the tail lamps. And I don't want any opening parts. A lot of people like that. I think it makes it look unrealistic. When you have a door the gaps
is
yeah.
So
that's something I retouch.
Yeah.
I'm glad you do, because when you take a photo of it, all of a sudden it looks really weird when you're trying to incorporate it into a real image or a realistic image.
Yeah, really.
So those are the three things I like to look for.
I have been struggling with good models. I bought one from Matrix. I think it's called Matrix. A Ferrari GT250. I think it was Ferrari GT.
So there's a few companies.
That was one of the models that it was a 1/43 though. But the wheels and everything was so great, and the gaps. I was super happy to see the gaps was just a scratch.
Yeah, that's
Many
amazing.
other brands are actually just bold and destroy the shape. So I don't need to retouch anything of that. And when it comes to Mini GT, they are very good at that. And they can apply so much small detail like nets and everything that are so beautiful to look at. And even the rims and the brake discs are shining through.
The president of that company is a gentleman named Glenn.
Yeah.
And he told us on an interview that I want my cars to be an exact miniature version of the real car. And so that is his standard for Mini GT. And I wish that was the same for every diecast maker, but it's not. So I do appreciate Mini GT for that.
Yeah, really. I have a bunch of new cars that I even have opened, but every time I open the box, it doesn't look so good on the box. But when you took it out and open the plastic and you feel it, it's heavy and all the details are there. So it's super cool to see those small, tiny cars.
Are you sure you're not a collector?
Not yet.
No,
Not yet.
I think we got you. We're reeling you in.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's when it comes to those diecast, it's I'm looking for good details, and that makes sense when we talk about good brands. So it's very important for me to find those. I found a brand like BBR. It's the Ferrari makers with the leather discs underneath and everything, but they are super expensive.
Yep. Yeah, you'll pay for the really good brands. You'll pay for it for sure.
But are the details on that car really, really, really good? Have you seen it in real life?
For the
BBR.
actual car?
No, the BBR.
Are you talking about the 1/64 scale?
Yeah.
I think they are they resin? I think they might be resin.
I think BBR is resin, yeah.
Yeah, they're amazing. Resin is a whole different category of detail versus diecast. Resin can do much smaller, finer details. If you start looking for resin models,
resin and diecast is too different.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
Aha.
Resin is plastic, so it's much lighter, it's much more brittle, and they're usually much more expensive because they have to be entirely hand assembled because they're so delicate. But you can get things like the really small A-pillars on the windshield, like on the old cars where they had very thin metal between the windshield and the doors and stuff because they didn't have like airbags and stuff in the front of the car. They just had pieces of metal. So, everything looks much more refined and realistic, but they're usually 5 or 6 times as expensive as a premium diecast car.
Okay.
And usually they don't have rolling wheels either because they're,
display pieces.
You definitely don't want them rolling. You don't want them rolling off the shelf.
No.
So
No.
Anyway, but yeah, I think David nailed it. We're looking for cars that have actual lenses for headlamps, non-opening door panels, something that looks like the tires aren't too wide, like the tires are true 1/64 scale. So, and those are the things that you find in the more higher end type stuff. I think you're going to be,
and some of those, Martin, like even like the tires on the expensive ones, they're rounded, like they're inflated versus a real chunky flat wall tire.
All right. Okay.
Yep. So they're
I haven't
out there.
noticed that on Mini GT, but have they curved wheels?
I'm not sure. I don't know offhand.
I almost need to look
on the Aston Martin.
Yeah, they got some curve on them. I think this is a Mini GT.
Yeah, they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what you look for, is those little details.
They are.
Yep. Alrighty.
Those are beautiful.
Martin, thank you so much for being on the show with us. We were thrilled to have you back. We definitely want to have you back on and get an update as you continue to dive more into this world and find more cool things. It's so cool that, I know that this wasn't how you initially started out in photography, but you found this really cool little space on Instagram and it's worked really well for you. And, keep those miniatures coming. It's awesome stuff.
Thank you.
So
I will do my best.
All right. Awesome.
Next time we will still collector in my forehead too.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. It will happen. We will officially dub the collector.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Martin. And thank you, watchers, listeners, wherever you are, for making it to the end of another episode of DieCast Breakdown. Again, check out drivendreams.org, where we are raising 25,000 cars for kids in need all over the world. You don't need to lick a stamp. You don't need to mail a check.
You just need to find some cars in their packaging and find somewhere locally that you can donate them, and then tell us how you did it. And it gets added to the pile, and we're trying to get 25,000 cars between now and October. You can find out more about that at drivendreams.org. And while you're clicking around on the World Wide Web, be sure to visit diecastbreakdown.com, where you can find out how to support this project and check out our merch. Our other channels, drivendreams.org, is linked there again, and our socials and all that good stuff. And you can also click down at the little join button if you're feeling like kicking us a few bucks, like so many wonderful people have. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe, like, and if you like this episode, make sure you share it with a friend. That's how we grow this show. We just hit over 6,000 subscribers on the YouTube feed, and that's really exciting. So thank you, everyone who helped us get there. And the audio feed is really taking off, so we're really excited about that. And we got a whole bunch of really great guests coming up real soon, so make sure you hit that bell notification so you know when those episodes come out. And as always, we want to thank you for coming along with us for the ride. So until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Thanks for listening to DieCast Breakdown. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend to listen in. Find DieCast Breakdown on your favorite social media platforms or visit diecastmedianetwork.com to learn more about this and our other projects. DieCast Breakdown is a presentation of Flying Valiant and the DieCast Media Network.